Let's talk about one of the biggest challenges in any kind of research, making sense of just massive amounts of human conversation. Today, we're going to explore a really interesting solution to that. It's called the Qualitative Reflection Framework, and it's a guide to making AI your research partner. Sound familiar? I mean, if you've ever done qualitative research, you've probably been there. You've done all this hard work, you've talked to dozens of people, you've captured all these rich experiences, but now you're staring at a mountain of words, and you realize the real work is just getting started. And that feeling, that's what the source material for this explainer calls the qualitative researcher's paradox. The very thing that makes your data so valuable, its richness, its depth, is also what makes it so incredibly hard to analyze.
Yeah, it's really a problem of scale. Traditional methods are great for smaller studies, but what happens when you're dealing with hundreds of interviews? When you're trying to understand a whole community, the human brain just can't hold all those connections at once. And that's when really important insights can get lost in the noise. So what do we do? Well, this framework suggests we stop thinking about AI as some kind of replacement for researchers. Instead, we should start seeing it as a new kind of thinking partner, one that never gets tired, never loses focus, and can handle a huge volume of data without breaking a sweat.
And this is not about outsourcing your thinking, not at all. It's about a real partnership where each side plays to its strengths. You, the human researcher, you're still the expert on meaning, on context, on interpretation. The AI just becomes a specialist in handling the sheer volume, the speed, and finding patterns at a scale that we just can't manage on our own. So this partnership has a name, the AI Reflection Framework. And what's cool is that it's not built from scratch. It actually adapts a classic, well-respected method for finding patterns in conversations called thematic analysis, and it just supercharges it for this new world of collaboration. Okay, so how does this actually work in practice? Let's walk through the 6 phases that really define this whole collaborative process. All right, so here's the whole process at a glance. It starts with human-led familiarization, then moves into collaborative open coding, and then comes the really key step, iterative reflection. After that, it's on to thematic synthesis, before finishing up with human-led definition, and finally, co-production. Let's break that down a bit. The process starts with you. You immerse yourself in the data. You get a feel for the nuance, the context. Then you bring in the AI to generate some initial codes. Think of them as labels for key ideas. But here's the crucial part. You review every single one of them. You're basically teaching the AI about your specific research as you go. Now, phase 3. This is the core innovation of this entire framework. Seriously, this is what separates it from just, asking a chatbot to summarize some text. It's called iterative reflection. So this reflection technique is actually borrowed from some pretty cutting-edge AI research. The idea is simple. You give the AI feedback on its first attempt at coding, and then it uses that feedback to go back, revisit its own work, and do a better job. It's not just processing your data, it's actively learning from you. Its analysis gets sharper and sharper with every cycle. And the framework adds another really clever layer of rigor here called cross-model validation. You don't just rely on one AI model. You run the same data through 2 different ones. Why? Well, when 2 totally different AIs with different programming independently find the same pattern, like community trust here, you can be way more confident that it's a real signal in your data and not just some quirk of one particular model. So in the final phases, the AI is amazing at clustering all those codes together and proposing potential themes. It finds the patterns. But you, the researcher, you're the one who evaluates those patterns, you decide if they're actually meaningful, you define them, and then you weave them into a coherent story. You and the AI literally co-produce that final report. You can really see the flow of the partnership here. It starts and ends with the human firmly in the lead, especially when it comes to the final interpretation. But all that heavy lifting in the middle, the coding, the reflection, the synthesis, that's a true collaboration. The AI is handling the volume, while the human is always handling the meaning. So you can probably tell by now this is a lot more than just feeding a bunch of transcripts into an AI and asking for a summary. There are some very specific features that make this framework uniquely rigorous and pretty powerful. We've already talked about the big ones, like the reflexive loops and cross-model validation, but there are others too. Human interpretive control means the researcher always has the final say, no question.
And radical transparency is huge. It means every single step the AI takes is logged and traceable, so you can always see exactly how a conclusion was reached. So, what does all this add up to? Well, it adds up to real, measurable scalability. The research behind this suggests that this framework can help you process data sets that are 10 times larger than what's feasible with traditional methods, and you can do it without sacrificing any of that methodological rigor. That's a game changer. All of this is building to a much bigger idea, because at its heart, this isn't just some new method, it's a whole new philosophy for doing research, and the source material calls it the partnership principle. I think this quote just captures the whole spirit of the framework perfectly. The goal isn't to make a machine that thinks like a person. The goal is to create a synergy, a partnership, where our human wisdom and the machine's capability just amplify each other, so we can achieve something that neither of us could do alone. And the outcome of that partnership is a new kind of research, one that somehow manages to be both rigorous and scalable, systematic and sensitive. It lets us combine the raw efficiency of machine processing with the thoughtful, nuanced interpretation that only a human can bring to the table. So that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. This framework gives us a model for qualitative analysis, right? But the principle behind it is so much broader. It really invites us to ask what other complex knowledge-based work, maybe in our own fields, could be totally reimagined, not as a task to be automated away, but as a true human-AI partnership.